How do you develop new beliefs? How do you change the way you see things, and how does that affect? What are the results of that? Can you change fears? Can you get rid of fears and stuff?
Sure. Well, first was to realize that a belief is basically a mental program that's running. So if you look at it from the objective reality perspective, then a belief is basically a cluster of neurons. They're storing that pattern somewhere in your brain and connecting with other neurons, and therefore affecting how you think. It's like a piece of software running in the background a lot of the time. Most of the time, you're not even aware of it. On the subjective side, a belief is, again, it's kind of like a program running in the simulated universe that controls not just how you're seeing reality, but reality itself. Objectively, you see as a belief is something that's just entirely in your mind, is filtering what you notice. But on the subjective side, you would say, no, it's actually changing reality. There's no way to know which one's actually happening, but the way you change beliefs is essentially by creating doubt. So first of all, you have to kind of realize, okay, this is a program, and if I didn't have that program, then I might see reality very differently. So one of the intentions I'll put out is show me what lies behind some of my limiting beliefs. Show me how reality really works. Show me what I'm not seeing. Show me what I'm missing. And I try to have this idea of just relaxing the programs and filters I use, getting down to a more pure experiential level. And one of the simple exercises I do to kind of practice that is I do what's called going for a presence walk. So I try to get past the filters that I'm normally putting up. And I'll go out for a walk, like in a city like this, or in the countryside, anywhere. And I do my best not to have any filters or any labels that are going through my mind, no thoughts, and just take in pure sensory input, pure observation. So I'll be walking down the street and I'll think, oh, there's that's a nice looking bush over there or something. I'm like, oh, I labeled it a bush. And I go a little further and like, oh, that green is so pretty. And I'm like, oh, I used to label green, and then I'll think, oh, this is really beautiful, this park. And I'm like, I labeled it a park and I labeled it beautiful. Forget that. And you just try to get back and think, okay, pure sensory input, like a baby, going back to being a baby without labeling anything, like not, pretend you didn't know what anything was. You couldn't read words, you couldn't identify objects. You could just, walk and feel and take in all the input around you, and noticing what a pure, rich sensory experience that is. And I would practice that, like, go for a 20-30 minute walk each night to just kind of get in that space, and it helped me get kind of around the beliefs and filters. And then I could start noticing things by, sort of relaxing my clinginess to those beliefs, going back to that pure space of like being a baby again. And that helped me kind of just crack open some beliefs, because when I'd start filtering things again, I would become more aware of the filters. Before, I didn't even notice the filters. And then when I got past the filters and sort of went back to them, I became more aware of when I was filtering and when I wasn't. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. You know what social reframing is? A friend of mine mentioned that once. And
social reframing?
Social reframing. It was a social. I think the therapist working with social anxiety clients use this method. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy. Have you heard about it?
Yes, I've heard a lot of that. It sounds a lot like rational motive therapy too.
Okay.
Kind of like coming with a more rational way of looking at situations, and it changes how you feel on the inside. So
Yeah.
like a lot of times we'll project thoughts on other people, like I'm being judged, or this person's about to reject me, or what I'm doing is creepy or weird or risky or so on. And then you basically you frame it differently. You could put another belief upon it. And so, you can install some very positive beliefs. Like one of the most fundamental that I chose to install, which I really like, because of how it filters my experience of reality, is this universe is completely supportive of my path of growth. So I feel like I'm in a universe that conspires to go out of its way to help me grow. And even when I think it's against me, it's simply teaching me lessons that I'm resisting. And so that has been a very, very empowering piece of software to keep running in the background. And so then, even if I have to face a fear or do something difficult, challenging, or have an experience that seems kind of frustrating, I just think, okay, this will help me grow. It's a setback, I'll learn something from it. If it's an opportunity, I'll grow through it. If it's a challenge, I'll take it on and grow from that. And so that the idea that I live in a safe universe that is very supportive of me has been really helpful.
How did you get to believe that?
I chose it.
Yeah.
I basically said, what kind of experience do I want to have in this reality? And I realized my beliefs are going to be there filtering it whether I like it or not. So why don't I put in some more positive ones to change the way I filter it? Now at times also I may step around those beliefs and just go back to a pure experiential level. But then it's just like being a baby again, and there's not much you can do there. It's just like you and a pure input stream that you don't understand. and you just end up sitting around doing nothing, or just observing. But if you want to interact with your reality, then what's the basis for interacting? And so I like adopting a belief that I'm here to grow and have growth experiences because I enjoy it. It seems like a fun and interesting way to experience reality. And that's a total subjective judgment. I could just as easily create an environment that's harsh and competitive and vindictive and cruel, and then that would be my experience of reality. And there were times in my life where I essentially did that. And I just thought, I don't really want to do that anymore. So I'd rather create a reality that's filled with, happy people and hugs and social opportunities and affection and growth and sharing and caring and so on. And so that's what I decided to create.
Is there a process, 1, 2, 3, 4, to get rid of a belief and install a new one?
I would say so. Number one is identify. What is the belief that you believe is holding you back? Do you see any evidence of it? Where do you feel you're being limited? Okay? And just look to your results. Like, notice what results you're getting in your life that you don't like. Like, look at your finances, look at your relationships, look at your physical body, your health, whatever, and say, what don't I like? What am I resisting? And then think, what would I have to believe to create a change there? For example, let's say you feel you're really out of shape and you don't like your physical body. Okay, you could, try to align yourself with a belief and go exercise like crazy and eat differently and get yourself really fit and so on. But if you see this as a dream universe, then you can go, on the other hand, I could just believe that my body's great the way it is, and that I'm very attractive, and then I don't have to do anything. And then other people respond to you in kind. It's really interesting. I've met some people who, they're very out of shape, and yet they have no trouble attracting an abundance of relationship connections. And you just go, wow. And then this bodybuilder type over here can't do it. And you think, that's really interesting, because if it was a dream world, it wouldn't matter what your body's like. You could have extra pounds on you, and so what? It doesn't matter. Because people can still be attracted to you. So if you have this belief like I'm unattractive because of my body, then that means either a lot of work, or you could simply let go of the belief. And so what I encourage people is experiment, try it both ways, and see what happens. Because I've done that a lot, where I thought I had to do all this work. Okay, you need a lot of money to travel. You might if you think you do, but on the other hand, maybe you don't need that much money to travel. Maybe if you got rid of that belief, you could just go and travel.
I've found Google to be quite helpful if I want to have a new belief. Let's say if it is, girls like guys with long hair, for example. If I want to believe that, I would quote unquote that saying, that phrase in Google, and it will search for the exact match results. And I would see forum posts about this, girls, digging guys with long hair. And if I only read that, I will actually start believing it after a while. So that's a technique I've found useful.
That's true.
I should
Some
use it
people
more
use
often.
affirmations, and they just say the belief again and again, and program it into them. What I do is I start just looking for evidence of it. I just say, what if this were true? And then I start seeing, ask, could it be true? Is it possible that it could be true? And I kind of exist and rest in that space of possibility without necessarily fully locking onto it. But what I do is basically I create doubt that the opposite is true. So like, with the long hair example, I would create doubt about short hair being attractive. Like I'd say, is short hair really attractive? And I start looking for evidence that short hair was not attractive.
Okay.
I've seen somebody with short hair do an approach and get rejected. And then that would start creating doubt, so that's what you can do is start looking for positive evidence of the new belief you want, and contradictory evidence for the belief you're looking to shed. And it's kind of a process of just leaning into it, and then the new belief begins getting a little bit stronger and stronger and stronger. It sometimes takes a few weeks for that to really begin to get firm, but it's pretty fascinating seeing how that plays out, how these limiting beliefs I could have once had, I could just slowly drift away from them, and seeing some really empowering stuff coming through instead. And that's you, and that's the creator of this life, this experience, this reality. And so you can choose to mold that experience how you like.